Welcome back to Kabuteri Cafe, and this week I want to bring you a deck profile on a winning list that I won at our local Paupers tournament. And this week I was playing AncientTroymon, and this was really a way for me to be able to play Rosemon or the Rosemon line, mostly with Palmon. So I'm going to show you guys basically the full list, and then a few of the combos and a few of the things that I kind of did throughout the night that helped me win. So starting off with the eggs, so I ran 2 Cocomons and 3 Argomons, and honestly, I mostly just used the Argo as bait for people to come in to try to kill, like leaving like a Pomumon or some level 4 I wasn't really trying to hold on to with an Argomon underneath instead of them trying to swing over my big guy. Because getting that extra memory would be good too, and I had protection with my level 6s anyway. So I'd probably change this to 3 Cocomons, 2 Argos, maybe even a 4-1 split in the future. So then moving on to the level 3s. So the main ones that I was trying to do was the BT10 Palmon and Palmon X Antibody. And really what I wanted to do here is I wanted to be able to do a lot of searching, as well as getting the on play or when Digivolving suspend with Palmon X Antibody. So this was kind of the bread and butter of the deck. Anytime I was getting on play with a level 4 or with an Argomon, level 5, spoiler, we were looking for one of these to get the on play of. So putting that aside, the rest of our level 3s, I kind of did a split here, and I didn't get to do too much testing here with 2 of the the BT9 Pomumon and 2 of the EX3 Pomumon. And this is really good to have because there was a lot of people getting a lot of on-play effects, like I was playing against D Brigade in previous weeks. So I really wanted to be able to try to lock that down, and I knew as well with 2.5 coming out that people were going to be playing Crossheart and a few others, as well as bunnies and all that. But then also really the one I liked the most was the when it's suspend one of your guys, the EX3 Pomumon. However, a lot of times I found myself having other effects to be able to suspend my opponent's guys regardless and not necessarily needing to suspend my own guy to do it. So I'd maybe go 3-1 on this in the future. And then to round out the rookies, just a memory choking Terriermon. And this isn't a huge deal, mostly because there's not a ton of memory setter if people are getting memory, it's with a memory setter tamer. There's not a ton of memory gain from Digimon around, but I had that one just in case, and you'll see why later too. So then going into the main function of the deck that I was trying to go towards was Green Hybrid, or Green Plants Hybrid. So I was running 4 of the new Arbormon and 4 of the new Petalgermon, and these 2 cards were awesome. So I really liked using these. And it's really nice that they can go back and forth on top of each other. Arbormon on top of Petalgermon for 0, and Petalgermon on top of Arbormon for 1. And what I found myself doing multiple times is getting several swings over my opponent's Digimon with the same Digimon by suspending myself to suspend one of their guys, going to Petalgermon on top of that to unsuspend my level 4 to swing back over, and go to another Arbormon, another Petalgermon, and just have this super large stack of just these 2 Digimon, and I'd get plus DP from one of my tamers or whatnot. So that was really nice, just constantly go back and forth. And that was also really nice for searchability too, to get that extra draw, which Green has been, that's what Green does. Green's all about quick Digivolution, a lot of draw power. So this was awesome to be able to really showcase the old Green Hybrid. And I thought about running like Metal Kabuterimon as well for that, but that wasn't necessarily a good move because it's a cyborg and it's not a plant. But that 6,000 DP reduction is really nice off the Metal Kabu, but I couldn't really find space in here for it. And that's because my other level 4s was trying to run 3 of the Sunflowermon to suspend it when digivolving to be able to play out a level 3, so to try to play like those Palmons, Palexes, and then rounding out the level 4s with just one quick Evo, or low cost Evo, one red Vegemon. And this was really nice as well because it hits that vegetation archetype to be searched by a lot of things too. So this is really nice, and a lot of times I found myself going up like to red veggie to be able to build a stack and raising and not worry about having when digivolving or anything being lost in my breeding. So that was really nice to just have that one of. And that's usually what I've always done with green plant decks, is always have a red veggie or two. It's just good. And then level 5s, this is what I've still been working around with, level 5s and 6s a little bit, is what package I want to have in my level 5s. So because those Palmons, those BT10s, they search for a plant, vegetation, plant, and fairy. So you search for, you get to grab a vegetation or plant, and then you grab one fairy. So I figured I still should try to have some of the fairy package in here to be able to kind of get that going. So I did 2 of the EX1 Lilies and 1 Lily X. And this was nice to have. I didn't find myself being able to use the effects, use the security attack +1 from the inheritable if you suspend, or the Lily X. I got the draw off like once, but it wasn't too good, and I'd probably change this in the future to something else. But for my other level 5s, I was running 1 of the old Blossomon for Digisorption, and that was alongside 2 of the BT2 Argomons. So as we've mentioned in a previous video in our introduction to Pauper, there is no banned or restricted list until Bandai puts one out. Technically, there is no banned or restricted list for Pauper, except obviously only commons and uncommons. So I might take some of that Lilymon package and pump that into the Argomons, or even another Blossomon, just because of hitting that vegetation for search. That's really nice, and you don't want to be hitting a ton of Argomons and searching because that hurts. And then I was running 1 AncientTroymon, or Agitai, however it's spelled or pronounced. And I didn't find myself using this very often, using the suspend to be able to play out another Digimon. I think I used it once over my matches, and it was good, but it wasn't fantastic. And I feel like I'd almost want one of these Digisorptions as well, or one of my final level 5, which was a one of Rhino Kabuterimon. So Rhino Kabuterimon, again, although it's not a plant, vegetation or plant or fairy, it's that hybrid. It was still really good to have because it gets the Digivolution reduction if you have a tamer underneath or a hybrid in sources. And I have a lot of hybrids, so it's really good. And the when attacking to be able to go into a 10 warriors was just awesome. So honestly, I'd probably hit the AncientTroymon to another Rhino Kabu, or get rid of the Lilymon package and add more to these guys. That was really awesome to be able to, when attacking, go up into an AncientTroymon, the main boss Digimon, but also that's not the only level 6. So I didn't want to have too many of them because I didn't want to be whiffing and going into nothing, or not being able to go into a level 6 that I wanted. So speaking of the level 6s, the main one we had was 4 of the AncientTroymon from BT18, the brand new one. So if you're not familiar, this card alterns when any of your opponent's Digimon suspend, trash their top security card. That's a once per turn. And then also alterns when this Digimon would leave the battle area from this Digimon's Digivolution cards. You may return to the hand or play without paying the play cost 1 level 4 or lower green Digimon card. So this is where we have to be careful with the Pomumons. We don't want to be killing ourselves by not being able to play Digimon by effects. And also it can Digicross -2 with Arbormon and Petalgermon. So I found myself, I think once I slammed down the Ancient Troy, tucking those sources. But really, I just love this card to be able to play out on my opponent's turn a Petalgermon or Arbormon if they try to kill my Ancient Troy. So what I found happening multiple times was my opponent swinging over my Ancient Troy, and when they suspend, trash one of their security, and then, they kill it. Well, I get to play out an Arbormon or a Petaldragon. And with the Arbormon, that can suspend one of my own Digimon or itself to be able to suspend one of my opponent's Digimon. So that was a fun way, although I don't have blockers, that was a good way to lock down my opponent. If they had multiple guys to swing with, I made it to where they couldn't. So that was really awesome. And then the rest of these, I've been going back and forth on how I want the rest of this level 6 lineup to shake out. So really, I only really want to see AncientTroymon. I have the one EX1 Rosemon simply as another thing that can be searched. It's fairy. But I never found myself going into it, and I probably will get rid of this to add another Saber Leomon, which is just an incredible card. And it's great in Pauper to be able to Digivolve, unsuspend, suspend one of your opponent's guys, and swing into it with piercing. So this is an awesome move that I found myself doing, like always looking for the Saber Leomon as a way to like close out a game. So I really think I'm going to cut down the Rosemon and add another Saber Leomon. That would probably be a good choice to do in the future, although I don't even know if I'm going to play this next week or this week. Really, our locals is tomorrow. Might play Blue Hybrid, try out the Ancient Mermaimon with Shangpengmon. So then for the Tamers, I played 4 Willis, and although this is a green hybrid deck, there's not many good green Tamers outside of ones for Argomon or for bunnies, for like the Trubimon line. But what I've been thinking about adding rhythms to this and then running more of the level 5 Argomons, and that could still be a good way to, get extra memory, get extra draw. So I might add more of those in the future and cut down on some of the other things. But 4 Willis for now is still really good because start of your main phase and on play, one of your Digimon gets plus 2k until the end of your opponent's turn. So you can just always have one of your guys have that plus 2k. So a lot of times I'd find myself with like a level 4 with a hybrid, as I mentioned earlier, constantly going, Arbormon, Petaldragon, but I would have like a 2k or plus 4k. And just being able to just constantly swing over my opponent's guys, suspend them, unsuspend myself, swing over another one. That was just an awesome thing to have, that extra 2k, because I don't have that in any of my sources, in any of the inheritables. So there's no reason to not play Willis for that extra 2k. It's just fantastic. And then for options, kind of the main 2 kill spells were Grandel Soul and Giant Missile. And the reason I was playing a Grandel Soul is simply because I wanted that potential reduction, because I'll a lot of times have a lot of suspended guys on board. So it was good to have that Grandel Soul if I could play it for a reduced cost. Otherwise, you just want to hit that Giant Missile. There's, if you're not going to have a ton of suspended bodies, you just play 2 Giant Missiles and call it a day. And then I was also running 2 Dino Memory Boosts, and I didn't find myself using this that much, but always like seeing it in security, which was still really nice to have that extra 2 memory to play with, especially because the Willis is not a memory setter, and there was really no other memory gain throughout. So having the Dino Memory Boost to be able to suspend one of my opponent's guys, to be able to get that 2 memory later was really cool. And if you have AncientTroymon, if to end turn, if you can't suspend, if you hadn't suspended one of your opponent's guys yet, just to be able to play a Dino Memory Boost to end turn to suspend one of their guys to just trash their security. Just a 3 cost to trash one of their security was pretty cool. And that was a really just fun way to do that. And then closing out, I had one Samadhi Santi, and this one was just obviously great to be able to get that suspension as well. And sometimes suspending my own guys doesn't really matter, or that even gets me the draw off of Kokomon. So that was nice to see, and then also it freezes them. And then the final 2 cards of the deck were 2 Hidden Potential Discovered. As I mentioned, without that ban and restricted list, this was awesome to have. And I found myself at times even just using it to go to a level 4, just to get up to my AncientTroymon. Like at one point I started with a Palmon, went to Pal X, played Hidden Potential Discovered, went to my level 4, just to be able to have that memory to go to like Rhino Kabuterimon. And then with Rhino Kabuterimon, then attack and go up to AncientTroymon. So going from that level 3 with 3 memory, going up to AncientTroymon to end turn while attacking was awesome. So that was really cool. Granted, you had to have 2 bodies on board, or if it was HPD on the Pal X, going to like Petalgermon to unsuspend itself and then go up the line. That was really cool. So I didn't necessarily lose out by suspending myself if it was like to go to Petalgermon. And it's not necessarily a big waste because I still used it to be able to get up to my level 6. So it was really good. I think 2 is a good amount. I don't think going to 3 would be too great. Like maybe cutting down on a Dino memory boost, because this is just free memory value. So maybe cutting down on a Dino memory boost for another HPD would be a good move. But yeah, so that's it for the video. And just to kind of go over what the other decks were this week, we had actually quite a bit of green. We had 1 Crossheart player, so no level 6s. And then I had, as obviously, AncientTroymon, and there was a Trains D Brigade deck. And then we had 2 green suspend decks, 1 running BT16 Achillesmon and 1 running BT2 Argomon. I think that was more of an Argomon build than just a basic green suspend deck. And then we had 2 Bunnies decks. So a lot of times these Bunnies decks are running that BT16 Achillesmon, which is like what I've seen to be a rising star of Pauper so far. It's a really good one. And then also BT11 Titamon, because it's green-purple as well, to be able to trash and do a bunch of suspension and memory gain is really good as well. So that BT11 Titamon actually fits that deck pretty well. But yeah, so that was it. As I mentioned, or if I didn't, I went 2-0-1 with this. The one tie was against the D Brigade Trains. And really, it was just a long matchup, and we went to time in game 2. And if I had stalled more, well, I probably could have come away with that, as I, lost in rounds after turn. So that stunk, but I'm not gonna stall out just to win a match. It's not good sportsmanship. But yeah, so we'll be putting up more deck lists from myself or for whoever wins. In future weeks, and we have our 4th locals for our local game store. We've been really fortunate that they have been allowing us to run Pauper tournaments before this kind of April start for the Regulation Battle Volume 1. So see you guys soon.